Hi everyone, it's Connie here from Say With Simplicity. Today's video is a combination Silhouette Studio tutorial and DIY project. First we're going to create our own cut file for this project, and then we're going to assemble this little banner that I created for the 4th of July. 4th of July is coming up quickly, and it's very important that we stop and remember and celebrate the blessings and freedoms we have in our nation. Our family is having a special family celebration, and so for that I decided to do a little decorating and made this red, white, and blue banner using just plain cardstock and cut it out with my Cameo. I'm going to take you through my process in the Silhouette software as well as the assembly. I hope you'll join me and learn how to make one of your own. So here I am in Silhouette Studio, and you can see this file right here. I have the little blue stars part, and I have the red and white stripes part. And this is really, if you kind of line it up to the grid, you can see through. These are all cut out rectangles. But if you go ahead and you put this on top of your white layer and, use your favorite adhesive to put this together, now you have a little white background behind it. To give you the white stars and the white stripes look. And you can also use these little holes that we're going to create here for putting some string or something through so that you can hang it on a valance or on a shelf or on a wall or whatever you'd like to do. So I'm in Business Edition. Now if you're in Standard Edition, you're not going to have these snap to guides like I do, but let's go to this panel here, and if you look here, we have the grid, and I have my spacing set to 1, and I have my divisions set to 4, and I also have the show guides and snap to guides turned on. They're checked, and so that means they're turned on. And you can see these little rulers up here, and that is where you go up and get your guides from. So I'm going to go up, and you just hold down your mouse key or your mouse button, and I'm going to bring this one down to 1, and I'm going to bring another one down to 2.5, and let's bring another one down to 6. And now I'm just going to bring another one from the side. And you can see these blue lines in here. If I turn off the grid, you can see that I have my setup done now. And this just makes it really easy for creating this file. So let's go ahead now, and we're going to drop a rectangle in here. And I'm going to go to my Quick Access toolbar up here, and I'm going to type in 3 for my width and 5 for my height. And now I'm going to be able to line this up to the grid, and when I do that, you can see this dark blue line appears in the middle of there, and that means it's in the center of my rectangle. And so that's pretty cool. So now I'm going to create those little circles that are in here, and I'll show you how to do it so that you'll have them in the front and the back layers in the same place. So I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to hold down my Shift key, and I'm going to create a little circle that's 0.22, and then when I hold down my Alt key on my keyboard, I can bring this other one to the other side. Now you don't have to line these up exactly because we're going to fix that. Now if I hold down my Shift key, this one is selected already, I'll hold down my Shift key and I'll select that one, and now I'm up here on my Quick Access toolbar again, and I'm going to align these in the middle, and now I'm also going to group them. Now if you want these closer to the outside of your thing, you can do that. But now that they're grouped, you can see that you get that little blue line there. That means that group is aligned to the center. And now I can turn back on my grid for the rest of this here. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to select that rectangle. I'm going to hit A on my keyboard. Oops, select my rectangle, hit A on my keyboard. And I'm going to find that middle part right where that line is. And I'm going to create a new edit point. You can see that you'll get like a little arrow there when you mouse over that with a little line behind it. Now you can add that edit point, and I'm going to take that edit point, and if this would be a 1/2 inch right here, or you could go a full inch right here, whatever is your preference. So let's see, on the other one I did 1 inch. Let's just do, well, let's go ahead and do the 1 inch one. And you can just line that up as best you can to that center point. Okay, so now that we have that completed, I'm going to select my circles and I'm going to go Control C, Control F, and that's going to give me an extra copy of those circles. I'm going to undo that, and let's, for the sake of being able to see this and how it works, let's change this to a color. Let's just do light blue, and now I'm going to go Control C, Control F, and that brings me another copy of my little flag here to the front. And let's color that one, well, let's do it red. And let's send that one to the back. Okay, so now I'm going to select my blue flag and my top copy. Remember, there's 2 of these here. Hold down your Shift key, grab those little circles, and now go up to Object, Modify, Subtract. And now you can see that it knocked out my first little set of holes for the flags. Now let's send this one to the back. And let's see, I'm going to change it to a different color because you can't see the circles. Okay, so go ahead, grab these circles and hold down the Shift key, grab the flag again, and Object, Modify, Subtract. And so now you have 2 identical flags and the holes line up exactly to each other. And now look at how this kind of, you can see that this snaps right into that grid there. And so you don't have to worry about any alignment tools or anything. You can, you know that this is in the center when you have that blue, dark blue lines, and it's lined up to the bottom. You can kind of see an upside down T there in the dark blue lines. So that's lined up to the grid, and that really makes this helpful. Let's make this one our white one to be cut out of our white cardstock. And now we're going to work with this one. Now, in order for me to have my 2 separate parts here, I'm going to go ahead and I want to use my knife tool. Now you want to make sure that you're not on auto apply. So if you're on auto apply, it's checked. If you're not on auto apply, it's unchecked. So leave that box unchecked, and you want to make sure you have solid selected over here. And now we're going to And also the other thing is you want a straight line. So I'm going to hold down my Shift key and just bring my knife tool across. Now I don't have to worry about where it is because it's not going to apply yet, but I'm going to grab it here, it's selected, and I'm going to line it up, and it will snap to that second line that I brought down my snap to guides. And now I can click apply, and I get this bottom part and the top part are separate. Now it kind of looks all like one here, but that's because it's snapping right to that second line that I have. Okay, so now what I want to do is, let's work on the bottom part first. And we're going to create a rectangle. And you know, this is yours. You can, I'm going to turn off the color on that. Determine how wide you want it to be here. And it will snap right to this middle line now. I'm going to change that height to 0.22. So now I'm going to go to my replicate panel, and I'm going to select this middle icon there, and I want to create 5 more of those below this one and click replicate. And so that's going to give me a total of 6 of these rectangles. And now I can move these down. I don't have to move them all down. And now I can select all of them by holding down my Shift key and just selecting them. And go ahead, and you're on your quick access toolbar, just go down here to space vertical. And that's going to spread those out with equal spaces in between them. Now, if I grab all of these and mouse over them, all of them will be selected. You want to make sure that this guy isn't in here. And go to Object, Modify, Subtract, and now that has subtracted those rectangles, and if you go to your fill, you have the bottom part of your tag ready. Now for the top part of your tag, we're going to go to these flexi shapes, and if you're in, I think it's Designer Edition Plus and above, you have flexi shapes. If not, you could go to the Silhouette store and you could buy a star cut file. If you wanted to make your own in, say, like Inkscape or something like that, you could do that. There's a star tool in there. But I'm just going to use my flexi shapes one. And I also have a video on how to make a star in Silhouette Studio Basic Edition too, so you might want to check that one out. And so I've shifted this down. You can see with this star tool, you can slide this slider and get you know, the number of points you want on your star. And then if you grab this little red button, you can, you know, design your star here a little bit. And I like that one. So now I'm going to right click, convert to path, And now I have a star that I can use across this little banner up here. And let's change that to white, and let's change this to blue. And now if you hold down your Alt key on your keyboard, you can see you'll get a little line or a little arrow with a plus sign. You can actually clone as many of these as you want. Let's just have we'll just kind of fill them in here. Make these whatever size you want and place them where you want. You can even zoom in here a bit. Oops, not that far. And we're just going to place a bunch of these randomly. And this is where you really have a lot of personal preference at work here. Let's clone this little one. And let's get one more in here. Oops. Okay, so when you get your stars where you want them, remember this is still a separate piece yet. And we're going to mouse over all of those and go to Object, Modify, Subtract. And now you can see through there because you've cut those stars out of your rectangle shape. And so now you have your two pieces. And you have your back piece. Let's send that to the back. And you can just snap those together there. And now when you go to do this on your cardstock, you can, just make as many copies of this as you want. Let's go ahead and turn off our Snap to guides. And let's go to the Layers panel. So that's this icon right here. Open the Layers panel. And let's create a new layer. Let's call that the blue layer. Let's select the blue and move it up to the blue layer. And now let's create another layer. Let's go ahead and call that you have to double click in there, red layer. Grab our red layer and just click on your mouse and drag it up to the red layer. And then here's our white layer. We'll leave that in our layer 1. And actually, let's get rid of this one. And you can do whatever you want. You could name that white layer also. Okay, so now you have your 3 layers. And let's go ahead and I'll show you how you're going to multiply these. So I want to make sure that my page size for my cardstock is 8.5 by 11. And now I have the size of my cardstock. And I can replicate. Let's just hold down our Alt key and make 4 of those on our white cardstock. And now you can hide that layer and bring in the blue layer. And maybe you have some scraps of navy cardstock. So let's make 4 of those. Well, let's go ahead and make a few more because I think I'm going to... And I'm just holding down my Alt key here. And that's going to put 8 of those on that layer. Let's go to my red layer. And I want 8 of those as well. And I may have to do more than 1 page of those. So it looks like I can only get 6 of, whoops, 6 of those. Now if you turn these all on, you're going to have everything there, and so you can just go ahead and have the ones out there. So one thing I did forget to mention before you go to your machine is to go ahead and go up to your page setup panel. Let's move that up there. And show your cut border, because you don't want to move your pieces up beyond that and have them not cut. These are sort of, you know, if you get too close, you won't have them cut on the proper lines. And I just like to have them a little bit away from the cut or from the cut border. So you can go ahead and as you go through each of these, you can send them then to your machine from your send panel, and then, you know, hide the other layers and cut them. The other option would be to, when you go to your send panel, to send by color if you don't want to use the layers panel. But I find this just a really easy way to streamline my process here as I'm cutting. Okay, so here I am in my workspace, and I'm going to go ahead. I have some of my little flags or my pennant put together already. I think I ended up aiming for like 9 copies. And I have a few extras of everything, but I'm going to put a couple of these together so that you can see how they fit together. And so I'm going to take some art glitter glue. And this is amazing stuff. I really like this product a lot. And I'm just going to put a little bit of this on my red part here. And actually, I think when I figured out this, I decided I wanted to do the blue first. So I'm just going to leave this for a second. And I'm going to grab blue piece And I'm just going to spread this around a little bit. And now I have my white banner back, and I'm just going to line that up using the holes that we created in Silhouette Studio. And now I can just press that into place. Now I have my red piece, and the reason I said to do the blue piece first is because now if you extend beyond the bottom just a little bit, it's okay. The thing you want to do is remember to line up those holes at the top. So there's another one finished. Let's go ahead and grab one more background, and we're going to add some of our glue, and I'll leave a link to this glue in the description box below. It's wonderful, dries clear, doesn't warp your paper. And we'll just press that into place, lining up our holes that we made. And now we'll do our red layer. And this is just cardstock that I had from Joann's. I think when I was running this through my machine, I set it up to a 4 instead of a 3 on the cardstock setting because my blade's getting a little bit on the dull side. But now you can see how that fits together and you have those in place. So the next part is then that I'm going to take these and you want to make sure you put your pin back in your art glitter glue. And now I have some string. This is just some cotton cooking string, baking twine, I guess, baker's twine, I guess. I'll leave a link to that in the description box below as well. And I've cut out, probably a couple yards, and you can tape the end of your string or whatever you want to do, but I just had this big needle from my craft stash and I wanted to use that to string my banners. So I'm going to put it down through the left and back up through the right. And you can see how that leaves the string behind then, so that, whoops, don't do what I do and goof it up. And then you can just keep sliding those down your string. And I'll finish this up and we'll be right back. So I completed a total of 9 copies of these little banners, which I thought would fit great in the area that I'm planning on using them. Of course, now that you've followed along with the tutorial and made your own cut file, you can make as many as you want to meet your needs. These are a great way to add some color to your 4th of July party, display across a shelf, or even a valance. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. And remember, I'll be leaving a link to the products that I used in the description box below. I'm sure that you'll especially love this art glitter glue. It doesn't have any glitter really, it just dries clear. It's a nice adhesive for using on your cardstock. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to join me for future videos, I'd love to have you. Just click on the subscribe button and then hit the notification bell to be notified when new content comes out. And be sure to check out my blog, sayitwithsimplicity.com, where you can find a growing number of craft projects, printables, and my free SVG library. Thanks for stopping by today, and we'll see you next time.